Welcome. We have a debate review today. I am Max. This is Kat, and we had, but he'll be right back. We have Leo with us. How is everyone doing? It's Friday. The weekend is starting.
This is also Kat.
Let's
she's
go.
She's not very happy that I grabbed her, but
does she attack
amazing.
you like
Oh yeah,
Kat attacks me? Really? Oh, that's cool.
oh yeah. She's not very happy right now because I picked her up, but she'll be all right. Big girl.
How have you been, Leo? We missed you. Glad to have you here.
I've been good. I was rocking out to that music when that was playing. That was pretty good.
Yeah, David did the revamp the intro. Let's say hi to the people. Hello, I see Steel City, Jim Daniels, Aldebaran, Vanguard Chill. We see Robin. Hello. So let me frame this. But before we do that, let's do a social thing. Is like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your street, and yell, subscribe to Shadow Mate Talk and Leophilius. And that way we can share the love for the channel. So
if you do subscribe to my channel, what I can promise you is that your IQ will drop drastically.
Yes.
So if that's what you're looking for, subscribe to my channel. It'll be great time for all of us.
All right. So what happened was we were scheduling an MDD debate with two Christians. And the problem was that the two Christians have very different views. So they couldn't agree to come to the debate. So this guy reached out to me and said, hey, would you still like to talk about that? And I was like, yeah, sure, we can talk. And I went over to his channel, and then we had this debate. It's so weird in the framing of it, and you will see. And I wanted to get some of your thoughts because it's one of those Phil bro kind of a thing, and the guy basically hijacks a lecture that he saw on quantum mechanics that kind of says that there is no...
Do you know who the lecture is by?
Yes, I do actually have the lecture.
Also, how's my audio? Am I too loud? Am I too quiet? Am I right where I need to be?
No, you're perfect.
Yeah. Leo's always perfect. Leo's always right where he needs to be.
I'm pulling up. Give me 1 second. What is this guy? Lamont. That's it. Yeah, Lamont. It's from Nima Arcani.
Okay, Nima Arcani Hamed. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I watched his lecture series on YouTube that he did back in 2019 from Harvard University, the Space-Time and Quantum Mechanics, Total Positivity and Motives. A lot of it did go over my head. I plan on watching it again at some point. But it was a very, very good lecture, and he does a lot of really good work.
Right. So this one is about how in the quantum realm, there is no time and space. And this guy, Mr. Biscuit, is extrapolating that to the macro world to say that there is no time and space. And he guides me down this path of asking me questions and then tells me that that is my argument and conveniently forgets like everything I say, all the qualifiers that I put on his question. So
do you also happen to have the name of either the video or the series of videos that this man is referring to?
Yes, it's the end of space-time from the Max Planck Institute. I'll put the link here and I'll send you the link.
That is not what I was trying to do.
I'll send you the link if you want for
no
later.
Need. I have it right here.
Okay.
The Max Planck Institute für Physik.
Yes.
Have I watched this? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Robin asks, did he conclude there is a God? Yeah, and he tried to say that it was my conclusion, but kept conveniently forgetting every qualifier that I added to all of my answers and the questions. Yeah, it was rough. All right. Chrome tab. There we go. Boom.
Can you introduce yourself? And
I'm gonna nudge it a little bit forward because the first part is right.
Saying you do. And
okay, hold on. The derp counter. No, that's from yesterday. Sorry, I'll remove remove it.
I just bought beer, so let's not do a drinking game, so I don't drink all of it in like an hour.
No drinking game. No, the last time I got drunk on stream, I had stomach PTSD for like a week and a half. I was shitting fire.
What did you just stomach PTSD?
PTSD, yeah, dude. I felt immediately
gut rot. There's a term for that, Max. It's called gut rot when you drink too much alcohol.
Okay, yes. And also, I don't know if you know what it is, but someone in the audience, West Side Girl React, sent me Malort from Chicago. Okay. And that was
Malort's that one's I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's rough. I don't mind, the taste is not that bad, but then the fire in the esophagus, and then even later, that is just wild. We have the man, the legend, Mr. Isa. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. Great. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, awesome. All right, let's get this moving forward.
Reporting to me about your situation means you are aware of the situation. Because if you weren't aware of the situation, you wouldn't be able to report on it.
What I don't understand is why
Pause
you
really
need
quick.
delay. Yeah.
I know who this guy is. All I needed to do was hear his voice. I have talked with him on Clubhouse a couple of times. So yeah, I know who this is. I know who Mr. Biscuit. And then because he was under the name Mr. Biscuit. I heard his voice and my eyes went to the Mr. Biscuit and my brain just went click. I was like, oh fuck.
Right.
Yeah, he does like to cite Nima Kani-Hamed. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So right now what he's saying is that he is trying to get me to lead me down the path of acknowledging my awareness of my awareness. And this is what I'm going to object to now. Here of awareness, because I can see and I can, in my head, what happens is like I report, like I see the controller, report, and then it goes to my mouth. Like I see the controller. I don't understand why you are adding another layer of awareness.
I think you'll.
In my head, the awareness is I see, I report.
That's fair, and I think you'll understand soon. And like I said before, I prefaced this step by saying it is an annoying step, but it won't get more annoying from here.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So is it safe to say that you are self-aware? You are aware of your own awareness?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So,
Leo, tell me when to stop whenever you want to.
This dude has 43,000 subscribers on YouTube. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Here's another question I'll ask you then. Which one are you more confident in? The idea that you have a controller, a PS5 controller, or the idea that you are aware? Which one are you more confident in? If one of them were false,
what kind of question is that? I don't even know. Like, I don't know how to. What is that supposed to mean?
The controller is still here, so I mean, dude, it gets.
Am I more confident that this is a Budweiser, or that I couldn't have confidence that this is a Budweiser if I weren't aware at all. I just don't. I'm so fucking confused.
Oh, it gets so much crazier than this.
Which one would you be confident is false?
No, I think they're both on.
I would have just said neither, like
because I'm aware.
Neither is false. I am self-aware, and this is also a Budweiser. And for those who are like, well, how do I know? It's got the koozie on it. No. Right there. Okay. Right there. What's that say? This is
But-
Budweiser.
Yeah, I mean, we are open for sponsorships if Budweiser would like to. I wouldn't be opposed.
Is who you'd want, and that they're gonna be like, oh no.
Of the controller, because I can, let's say someone broke into my house right now, I could just chuck it over their head.
Sure. So you're saying it's impossible that you're dreaming right now, and there's not really a controller there.
Oh, that's for sure.
Oh,
yes.
God.
I 100% were in reality. I took 10 drops of LSD once, so I know exactly what not real is. I think that's a great answer. I actually know
It's
what
not bad.
reality is.
I've
done a lot of drugs, so I do know that what reality is. I can tell.
I guess my immediate question is, like, is it logically impossible that I'm dreaming right now? No. Impossible, it just is not the word that I would use. But I would still say I know I'm not dreaming right now.
I know I'm not dreaming, right? Because I have the experience of dreaming and the experience of reality and the experience of reality on heavy amounts of drugs. So I can really tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never been fooled by any of your senses.
I know that my senses are fooled, but I know to the extent that they can be fooled. I know that what I'm experiencing right now, talking with you, could not possibly be anything other than reality. I have zero doubt, like literally zero.
Well, your level of doubt is your psychological state, which is a little bit less interesting than if you were able to demonstrate it. For instance, can you demonstrate that what you're experiencing is not a sophisticated illusion?
Yes.
I can do that very, very, very easily. I'm being a little bit facetious here. Here's one hand.
Right?
That's a little GE Moore joke.
I've
Somebody asked him a similar question about how he knows the external world exists, and he just went, "Well, here's one hand, and here's another, and there's two objects external to each other and to me, so therefore there must be an external world."
Fair enough, yeah. I have the dream that someone will actually ask me that in person, and I will just go and slap them in the face.
Here's one hand.
And here's your face. Like a little slap. It's like, yeah, it's real. You felt it.
Go ahead.
If we're going down the like solipsism, there's no solution to that, so we can just discard that. But if you were wanting to say you're kind of in like a matrix state, I would tell you there's not enough processing power in the universe to generate this reality to the level that it has for the 8 billion people on Earth, and also all the stars and planets that there's in the universe. That processing power just doesn't exist.
Now, do you believe that? I mean, what you just said, I think you would have to be God to be confident in a statement about the processing power available in the universe.
Or you can just do the math.
Do you believe that there's math, sophisticated?
The math.
The processing power. Processing
Right.
power is like a thing in computers.
Yeah, because he's trying to
so-
argue for high-tech solipsism, matrix style, right? And what I'm telling him is that there's 8 billion people, and if you, let's say you do a 16K simulation would be reality, and I'm being generous. So what you can do is, okay, what processing power do we need to generate a 16K simulation? And then just multiply that by the 8 billion people, and it's an insane amount of processing power that just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't think the universe. I got a fly in my fucking room. I don't think the
it's
universe needs processing power because I don't take the universe to be a computer or computation.
No, correct. But I'm just following their logic. He says like, okay, what if we are in the matrix? Like, okay, then you would need processing power.
Okay, what if we were? I just turned the question back. Okay, so what if we were? What? Okay.
Right. I'm just trying to get out of this. And I managed to get out because I offered to do the math, and then like he was like, yeah, no, thank you. Because of course he would have demonstrated that he's incorrect.
God, you motherfucker. Fucking shitbag.
enough to tell us about the amount of processing power in the entire universe?
Yeah, and I'm being conservative. Say you wanted to generate a 16K simulation. Let's call that, being generous. Let's call that lifelike. Compute the biggest, the 5090. Hold on, 50.
I mean, listen. I don't want to necessarily go down this rabbit hole. I wanted to continue.
Okay.
Let's continue with the demonstration.
Okay.
You said that you are aware of your own awareness, and I think that that's fair.
I didn't say that. You said that. I said that I didn't understand why you need to qualify that I need to be aware of my awareness. You are aware, you're self-aware, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't
understand the other layer
of my awareness, because then am I aware that I'm aware of where my awareness, and then when does it stop?
Right? Yeah, it's such a weird take.
And you're also aware of the controller, right?
Yeah.
So, give me some properties of that which is aware of the controller. And I know that sounds complicated. You said you believe in awareness. You believe in the existence of awareness. Can you give me some properties of awareness?
Properties of awareness.
I don't know what that.
Never heard that question before. You'll see. He starts explaining that.
Maybe like perceptive faculties of some sort, but then I don't see those as being properties of awareness so much as being like generative of awareness.
You'll see.
Yeah, that just is not.
No, I don't really know how to answer that.
I think saying that exposes a deep amount of honesty in you. So I appreciate that honesty. I think that's the right answer. That's the answer I would give. So let me turn this around and begin asking you questions about awareness. Because I think when I'm talking about awareness, I'm talking about something you are. I'm not talking about something you have. And usually when we have conversations, we speak in terms of subject-object distinctions.
What's the distinction?
So the reason I can describe...
Between what I am and what I have, I'd want to know what's the distinction between what I am and what I have. Where have is referring to that you could predicate some properties about me rather than like me being in some sort of possession of some object or something like that.
Yeah, he does push. I say the colloquialism of like my body, and he actually says like, oh, but you're talking about your body like it's a possession. It's like, yeah, that's just a figure of speech, but I am my body. It's not something that I have. It's like I am. It's so weird. All of this is so weird, and it keeps getting weirder and weirder.
The reason I can describe to you this pin is because it is separate from me as a subject, right? But when we're talking about pure subjectivity, it gets a bit more difficult. So let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Does it get more difficult? I'm not sure.
Don't know.
Does awareness have a color? What color is awareness?
No, what color is space-time?
Yeah, there are a lot of parallels with the way flat earthers argue with this argument. I swear to God. If it's your consciousness, no, why would it have a color?
So I'm sorry, got a little piece of paper. I'm just gonna write this down. So you're saying it is colorless.
Sure.
What does it taste like? There's a series of weird questions, but what does awareness taste like? Does it have a taste?
Why would it have a taste? I don't know. I have a taste. Like,
what does YouTube taste like? Does YouTube have a taste? What color is YouTube? How much does YouTube weigh? What about Google? What about Walmart? How much does Walmart weigh? What color is Walmart? Can you smell it? What's it smell like? I mean, I can give you an idea what Walmart smells like. It smells like sweaty ass, but that's neither here nor there.
Like,
what the fuck is he getting at? What is this?
It's weird. No, I don't see why it would have a taste.
Let's go here. What shape is awareness? Does it have a shape?
No.
What about a texture? Can you feel it like you can the controller? Is it smooth?
No.
The controller was smooth, right?
No, it's actually textured. But I get what you say. No, it wouldn't have a texture. The awareness.
Okay. Another question. How much time? Well, first of all, let me ask you this. When you want your controller to respond, right? With a PS5, it's probably a really, really quick response time when you press a button, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is still an amount of time that it takes for when you press the trigger to
it's very tiny, but
very tiny,
like
but there's still
milliseconds. Yes.
How much time does awareness take?
Milliseconds also.
Now, is that a guess or is that something in your phenomenological experience?
There are some papers that there is a delay because, of course, there's electrical signals traveling through your neurons. So it would have to be, there is a time, and we've kind of measured that when you see the stimuli and your brain registers it, there is a delay.
Well, I'm not talking about and I'm glad you made this distinction because it is important. I'm not talking about what you're aware of, because I know that to become aware of something takes time and it requires that neural mapping that you're talking about. I'm talking about awareness simpliciter. How much time does it take to be aware as you are aware now?
However much time your awareness extends for.
Right.
How much time does it take to be an electron? What?
Yes. Isa, any thoughts?
You're muted.
You are muted.
I'm trying to find the unmute button. So my commentary on this would be that I think it's kind of a strange line of questioning. I don't know how you deal with things like this. Like, there was a movie from the past called What Dreams May Come. It was a Robin Williams vehicle, and it was an interesting take on like afterlife, and it was very textured, actually, funny enough, like the idea of all the elements of these abstract elements coming to life. And I think a lot of filmmakers do stuff like that, you know, having been involved in the film industry. You do see things like that, but I don't really know how it's kind of hard to describe abstract things. A consciousness, all this stuff is abstract. What kind of adjectives do you utilize or use? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think what he's trying to do is trying to make something abstract into something concrete. That's actually what reification is. You know, we've heard this word reify over and over again. It's something that you see a lot in academia.
Re-wits it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Whenever I heard him say, I'm like, that's not what I understand reify to mean. Just simply put, it's just like you're making something abstract into something concrete. So he's trying to reify, using the word correctly, like consciousness. And I don't, that's really hard. You know, we're talking about something very complex and abstract and trying to use concrete language to describe it. I don't know how fruitful that is in a conversation. So,
it goes one step further down the line of reasoning, because he goes, when he finished this little thing, then he says, well, that's God. And it's like, oh my God, no. Yeah, it's wild. All right.
Intellectual marvel right there, folks.
Let's say if I am just meditating, talking to myself, for example, that I guess I would also have a very tiny delay.
So are you saying that currently
someone said in the chat, like imagination, like if I imagine something?
No. I'm not talking about your imagination is something you're aware of. If I say imagine a unicorn, you are aware of the unicorn. You have foregrounded an imaginary object in your mind. I'm not talking about things we're aware of, because we already have the example in the PlayStation 5 controller. We're putting aside all objects. We're putting aside what you're aware of, and we're focusing on awareness simpliciter, your state of being right now. how much time does it take being aware? Not focusing your awareness on something, but pure subjectivity.
What does pure subjectivity even mean?
Not sure. But yeah, this
No
is like
idea.
asking how much time does it take to be an electron?
Yeah, it is. It's all a bunch of weird questions.
Good. And so now we could say that this would be timeless, requiring no time, or we could say, to be safe, maybe a Planck length of time, a tiny length of time, if we wanted to make a guess.
Pause.
But phenomenologically,
Yeah.
Planck. It's Planck. Max Planck.
I also say Planck.
would say that it is instant. I would say that it's immediate. And by immediate, I just mean awareness isn't mediated by things. So me seeing you, right? There's a color, to your beard. There's a color to your hoodie, your glasses, even the PlayStation controller. Those colors are mediated through my eyes. I can't immediately experience you. I can't.
Oh, damn. I forgot to tell you at the beginning. He confuses sound with hearing, and I almost lose it. I had to really send myself down when he was telling me that the sound happens in the ear, and I was like, fuck no, the sound is the wave that is traveling through the air. And that's why I skipped the beginning. It's because we were talking about all of that. He was confusing sound with hearing. It was.
By the way, I think it's more appropriate to say that your sight is mediated by electromagnetic radiation than it is strictly your eyes. But I would say that there's multiple different stages in that, all of which also I think that our awareness is largely mediated by our perceptive faculties. So if you didn't have perception, you wouldn't be aware.
Yeah. If you were just a brain there, how could you pretty much do anything?
Immediately experience the sounds you're making. They have to be mediated through my ears. Yeah. But when we take off all of the mediations and ask ourselves, what do we experience immediately, right? I think that awareness is immediate, meaning it is prior to mediation. As a matter of fact, it is the prerequisite for mediation.
What does that mean? Because if you remove everything, you don't experience anything.
Yeah. Ian McGilchrist, who's a neuroscientist, wrote a book called The Matter with Things, right? We think that reality is composed of things, but there is no thing
reality
that's fundamental.
Of things. Wait, hold on. Back that up 5 seconds and let it play again.
We think that reality is composed of things, but there is no thing that's fundamental. Things are something which are adaptive.
Quantum fields are fundamental. Quantum fields are things,
right? Yeah, but this is a lot of what we have been seeing lately in the debate. Is people just grabbing the citation machine gun and just making claims, or inspiring philosophy, or I don't remember who the other one was, but it's just like, oh, this person said this person said that, but it's always, unwarranted. Like, I'd rather have one citation we can discuss in detail that we can analyze, rather than people just saying, oh, this person said this person said that, this book says this book said that, this guy does all of that all the time.
The problem that I have with people who say, well, such and such wrote a book that says this, or well, such and such has a paper that says this, is okay. Yeah, that's great. I can find you probably several dozen papers that say general relativity is wrong.
Right.
You going to go hurling yourself off a 40-story building anytime soon? I doubt it. So right. I don't care what somebody wrote down or what some one paper says. I care about what the consensus of relevant subject matter experts says.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's vastly more important than this guy wrote a book.
Yep.
Adaptive for us because I have 5 fingers. I want to grab things. I want to have. I want to attach certain things to myself, which I'm attracted to, and resist things that I'm repulsed by. So things are very important to my, evolutionary advantage. But fundamentally, there are no things. There's, atoms, and then those reduce to particles, and those subatomic particles are just temporary excitations of waves.
That just sounds a lot like
but there are
mereological nihilism.
I'm sorry? Repeat
It sounds
that?
a lot like mereological nihilism.
No idea what that is.
Yeah, so like there's not like a cat in front of me and a mouse and a keyboard and a phone and a pipe and a lighter for smoking, obviously tobacco, and a beer can in a koozie. Those are all just like distinctions humans make. There's just fields and the way that fields arrange themselves into the structure that we see in reality. But there's not like things in the world. There's not objects. There's not a chair. There's fields that are arranged chair-like, sure, but the chair is not actually a thing that's there. And this seems to be like the idea that he's getting at. So I would like, if I was talking to him right now, I would have just been like, "Are you a mereological nihilist?"
Right. The thing is that I don't I'm not too deep into philosophy. It bores me to hell. But yeah, I wouldn't. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. That position. I've heard similar stuff. People just making the basic argument, but like all of this was just bizarre to me. So why does he feel that he's justified in saying that there are no things when there are things? There's lots of things.
Well, I don't want to put words in Ian McGilchrist's mouth. He wouldn't say there are no things. Clearly there are. You just showed me a thing, the PS5 controller. That's a thing. It's just, I think the reason the book is called The Matter with Things is because we surround ourselves with so many things, we forget that things are not fundamental. They're just the way that, our mind gives us the universe in bits and pieces, right?
But even if you go to the quantum level, those are also things. We build particle accelerators and we can crash into them. We can crash one into another and create other things like antimatter and so on. Those are all things.
Well,
so if you want to boil down to what's the fundamental layer of reality, you could say quantum fields.
Right, but quantum fields are measured according to their excitations, which are subatomic particles. And those excitations can only be measured once they're gone. We measure the trails of them.
I'd say that's half true.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know enough about quantum mechanics to actually have that discussion. But I start pushing back on the nonsense, on the dude, you're just hijacking stuff to make your argument in a very flat earther way.
Right. But the field itself can't be measured apart from that subatomic excitation, which is like here 1 minute, gone the next. So to say that what's fundamental is a field, I can just say
that argument. It's like saying, well, you can't measure a pond, but you can measure splashes in the pond, but you can't measure the pond. Well, the splashes are in the pond, so if I'm measuring the splashes, I'm measuring a thing the pond is doing, which is measuring the pond in a particular state we call a splash. Same thing with quantum fields. We measure quantum fields by measuring excitations at whatever scale, at whatever energy scale that are in that field. We can also measure a variety of other effects, Casimir effect, the Unruh effect, the Hawking effect, that result from quantum field theory. So quantum fields are mind-independent, concrete, physical entities that are extended in the external world. You would be hard-pressed to find a physicist that disagreed with that.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. That isn't really a thing. That doesn't have shape, taste, color, texture, time.
But those, God, no.
Boundaries.
Like those are just features of like the perceptive apparatuses of humans. Humans see things amongst other animals, but just keeping things simple in general. Humans see things and hear things and taste things and smell things. Electrons are physical objects. They just are. They're physical objects. They have objectively quantifiable degrees of freedom. They have properties: electric charge, mass, spin, lepton number. There's all these properties that electrons do. There's all these causal features, these causal relations that electrons stand within. They're physical objects. Just because you can't. An electron doesn't look like anything and doesn't smell like anything and doesn't taste like anything and doesn't feel like anything and doesn't sound like anything, doesn't somehow make it not a physical object. It's just not a classically physical object that we can perceptively interact with directly. But it's still an object, and it's still physical.
Yep. That's a great way of putting it.
Physicality is not defined strictly by our ability to directively, perceptively experience something. That's why we have telescopes and microscopes and all of these, and particle colliders and laser interferometer gravitational wave observatories, because we can't directly perceptively experience every facet of the world. But that doesn't mean we can't measure the world and understand it, and understand that it is physical.
Mm-hmm. And at some point, I do tell him that, look, ultraviolet light exists and we don't feel it. But when I go outside in the sun, now that it's spring down here, I need to be in the shade because I burn very easily. Right?
That's right. It is springtime down there. You little slimy fucking bastard. And I got to deal with this fucking cold ass, dead ass, colorless bullshit fucking world for the next 6 goddamn months. 5.
Yeah. But you just came from 6 months of nice weather. So
and I don't want it to go away. That's the problem.
I mean, you could move down here for the next 6 months.
I could.
I wish I
God,
was
I
up there.
fucking hate winter.
Me too. I feel you.
I guess you could say that there are boundaries to field, because the electron field doesn't produce things which aren't electrons. So, I mean, but unified field theory supposes that there will be one grand field out of which all of the other fields are emergent illusions as well. But not to get too bogged down on that. What you're saying, right? And this is what you've told me. You have said that you are in touch with a colorless, tasteless, shapeless, textureless, timeless being.
Like what? No, I didn't say any of that. You were asking me questions. You were leading me down this route. So it's not my argument. That is dishonest, like from the start. So let's clear that up.
Is that fair so far?
Not being myself.
Well, being just means isness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying you're in touch with a colorless, tasteless.
No, I am that plus my body.
Amen. Yeah. I think as long as you remove, and this is kind of a phenomenological undressing, right? You take off everything which is not fundamental to you, and what you're left with is a colorless, tasteless, shapeless, and you said you believe in this thing. You're aware of it. You're aware of awareness, and you're aware of the controller. We put the controller aside. We decided to focus on awareness and the properties thereof. And the properties which you mentioned of this awareness, there's a colorless, tasteless, shapeless, textureless, timeless, spaceless, because it's shapeless, right? It's enormously vast, having no boundaries. And this is
does this guy not know? Does this guy not know? I don't know if Mr. Biscuit knows that quantum field theory is done in 4-dimensional spacetime. Like relativistic quantum field theory is done in a 3-1 spacetime, where there are you might say 1-3. There's 1 dimension of time and 3 dimensions of space. That is what our effective field theories are written within. That is how they are understood, at least currently. And look, that could change. I'm not I'm amicable to the idea that like space-time is a fundamental or an emergent rather than fundamental structure, but that doesn't make space-time not physical. Like space-time wouldn't cease to be a physical thing. Temperature is emergent. Temperature is very much a physical thing. And look, if you disagree, I want you to stick your face in a fire.
I actually said the same thing. I actually told him that time is an emergent property, and he wouldn't go for it. He was just very stuck. He's like, no, but this lecture says there is no space and time.
Yeah, no, what he doesn't understand is that Niamh Kani Hamed is getting at the idea that space-time is an emergent structure, that it's not fundamental. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Temperature exists, but an electron doesn't have a temperature. That makes no fucking sense. Now, if you got a shit pile of electrons tied with protons and neutrons together into a super large macro scale object, that does have a temperature. So temperature is emergent, not non-existent.
Yeah, that's what pretty much what I said. Robin says it's called qualia, experience of experience, and then says, I stand by the idea that consciousness is physical. That's what I said also, because if you get a spike into your brain, your consciousness just stops.
Oh, you're talking about Phineas Gage?
Qualia is this idea that there's a what it's likeness to the experience. There's something that it is like to be Isa. That is the subjective qualia that Isa has as a person. Now, like, I'm not saying that that's like the incoherent or unintelligible or something. I'm just not sure that the idea of qualia adds anything meaningful to a solid theory of mind. I think that if I grant that qualia exists, it just exists as some sort of physical feature or processual feature of what the brain does. I don't know if qualia as sort of its own concept has any real explanatory import with respect to understanding consciousness. So I wouldn't say that I think it's unintelligible or incoherent as a concept, just that maybe a little superfluous at best. Something like that.
Yeah.
Conscious being. And if that being... Well, I'm just going to... my last sentence, and I'll let you go. If that being exists, how is that being not God? You only forget that being
because it's
when
me.
you begin... right, but when you say it's me, you're referring to a spatiotemporal body. So
that's the objection that I wanted to stop you right before.
Right, but all you've done at that point is redress yourself. We could just go through the whole thing again.
No, but the problem is that you at one point separate my body from all of that. I would hold that characterization, that list of things that you make, also includes my body, where I am, and that gives you space and time, and the containment is like it's inside it's myself, and more locally, like it's specifically the brain. I don't know how you could separate me from everything else that is me and my awareness of myself without my body.
Well, it seems to me that you did. I mean, the brain is not colorless. It's pink or red. The brain isn't tasteless.
Well,
the brain is not shapeless.
About the awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think you were just about to sort of get into what I would mention here is that, yeah, but the brain is not me. The brain and what the brain is doing is me. But just the brain. Like, I could hold a brain in my hand. There's no person there. That's just a fucking brain. Yeah. It's not just the object of the brain. It's all the processes that the brain is engaged in and sustains as it metabolizes.
Right.
I don't know if this doesn't seem to me to be difficult to understand, that consciousness is processual, it's dynamic, it's not just the brain, but what the brain does in more simplistic terms.
I didn't want to spoil it, but I'll spoil it just in case. We end up this conversation by him repeatedly saying, because of this line of reasoning that he's following, he is saying that because you cannot see your own brain, humans don't have brains until you open your freaking skull and you see it.
Oh, God.
That's where we end up.
It's a little funky.
My face is just like, "Arr!"
Yeah, but you just.
But we already said that I think that my awareness is an emergent property. It's just something my brain does.
But that's just a guess.
Oh!
Well, no,
No,
we
it's
can
not.
measure it. No.
That's what's indicated by like all of the empirical data that has been collected on consciousness in the brain shows, number one, that they are inextricably linked. Consciousness is a feature of what the brain does. Yeah, that's just like I make what the people like no cognitive scientist would think what I'm saying is controversial. There's a lot of philosophers that would. We have empirically confirmed physicalism. We have empirically confirmed that consciousness is a feature of the processes and structures and functions of the brain as a physical object undergoing a variety of dynamic processes as it metabolizes and evolves in time.
Yeah, it's starting to get it's starting to ramp up.
You mean we can measure the neural correlates of brain and mind?
We can measure how the brain, the brain works.
So dishonest.
So you can measure the neural pathways if you think, if they poke you, and so on.
Yeah, those are neural correlates, right? That has nothing to do.
That is me.
You're a neural correlate?
Yeah.
I hate this language. That when you say, well, yeah, but like we can show empirically that the mind and the brain are clearly causally connected. Yeah, but those are just correlation. No, this is like saying that I hit your hand with the hammer and you say, yeah, but the pain that I felt it's only merely correlated with you smashing my hand with a hammer. Well, no, it's caused by it. Now, that will entail that there is a correlation, but it's not merely correlative like they want to say. It's just so fucking dishonest. And it shows that you don't understand the cognitive science here. You just don't. Not you as in you, but you as in like the people that say that, obviously.
Yeah. No, I got that. And it starts I get a little bit frustrated, and I did raise my voice a little bit, and I got like a little bit effusive because it's like, dude, you're being super dishonest. But I wanted to remain calm and be kind. I only said fuck once or twice during this debate, so I'm proud of that. Let me put it to you this way. There are some brute facts about how my brain works. For example, I told you my favorite ice cream is blackberry ice cream. I never chose that to be my favorite ice cream. It is just a brute fact that my brain tickles itself when I eat blackberry ice cream more than any other flavor, right? So it is just the way that my neural pathways lined up when I was a fetus. But I don't think that you can untie my brain, because if you disconnect my brain from my body, there's no more me. So my awareness is, at least in my view, inextricably tied to my body. Because if not, for example, where was my awareness before I was born?
Right. To say where presupposes that space is a real thing, but space is what brains do in order for us to have a localized experience. So to ask the question, where
are you going? Lisa says, blackberry ice cream, I think I need this. Yes, I actually have to make it because it's not sold regularly here. Space, time, and motion. Yeah.
So space is a real thing.
Where would I be prior to brains? What I'm saying is brains
are
what deliver the illusion of time and space.
Do you guys think gravity is real?
No, gravity is fake and gay.
Yeah, very fake, very gay, just like space.
I mean, I think that gravity is just this made-up construct. It's like it's electrostatics. You know what I mean? You have to understand. It's a part of the Neo-Tychonian model.
I concur.
To understand.
Oh my! We are better flirts than the flirts. I love that. I don't think it's an illusion. It cannot be an illusion because the whole universe works on time and space.
No. Our picture. so
I think whatever worldview we have, we're going to make some assumptions, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with making assumptions and making, human calculations on these situations. What I think is, this person a religious person? Is he I don't know anything about it. Is he a Christian?
I don't know if he's a Christian. I know he's at least just generally a theist.
It sounds like it. It sounds very much like he's probably a
At the beginning, he said he is kind of like a Christian mystic.
Okay. I couldn't remember if he was a Christian or not, honestly.
Yeah.
So he's a mystic. Cool. I think the issue is when this line of questioning, I've heard this before. It sounds very familiar to me, and it's something I would never. It's like, we make assumptions about our worldview. We say that God created it. So but we have a reason because our God created everything. You atheists have nothing. And let me poke holes about how you really are just situated on nothingness. And that's what it sounds like. That's what it's just to cut out all the crap. That's what this guy sounds like his line of questioning is. He's leading you to the space where he's like, your whole basis is based on nothing. You're just nothing based on nothing. This is why you need God. And I'm like, yes, we are going to use certain assumptions of how our reality exists, and we don't necessarily know all the answers to that. But that doesn't mean that the atheist worldview is fraudulent because of that. I think that that's what he's trying to say. If you don't have God, you don't have God. I don't think that that's fair. I think it's kind of disingenuous to the approach, and that's what it sounds like he's asking you. If I'm correct, that's kind of what I'm hearing in this entire conversation.
Yeah. Carlos says, good to see Leo, isn't it? Yeah, we love Leo.
Leo and Macy.
And Macy. Oh.
We don't have access. Let's see if I can get her in the frame here. Macy,
we don't have access to the universe. We have access to a human interpretation of reality. We don't have access to the noumena. We have access to phenomena.
But that
phenomena
is. I was gonna mention I'm trying to fix my camera. It's blurring. Oh, you fucking hooer.
Leo, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you were a theist, did you operate similar to him? Like, do you feel that same operation?
God, no.
So how did you operate? Like in addressing?
I would have been something more like William Lane Craig without all of the conservatism.
Okay.
Before humans were, the universe kept going without
but
us.
Also, I wanted to say,
explode.
Before he said the fucking words, in my head, I'm like, oh, but I reject Kant's noumena phenomena distinction. And guess what fucking words he used? We don't have access to the noumena.
I didn't even know what that word was.
Please. So noumena is like the stuff that is. It's there. It's out there. That's the stuff. That's the noumena. And the phenomena is like our ability to experience it and the means through which we perceptively experience it. And those are not the same thing. We perceptively experience the noumena, but we don't have this direct access to what it is. We can only understand it phenomenally. I reject this. I think this is dumb. I do not think this is how modern metaphysics is done in the analytic tradition.
Okay. But I didn't know it. I didn't even know what the fuck he was talking about when he said that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
The whole planet blew up.
Nobody uses that anymore. Nobody talks about just Aristotelian causation is not a thing. No, but nobody talks that way anymore. That's not how we understand stuff. Stop it. Get some help.
The universe will go on without us.
And by universe, you mean space-time?
Yeah. Space-time and matter and everything else that we see that is really there. That, to me, is a fundamental layer of reality. Space, time, matter, energy.
Got it. And when you say that, I think that that's very comforting. The idea that something that human beings presuppose and utilize for our own adaptive purposes is fundamentally real. And when we go to sleep, the room looks the same. That's a very comforting idea. I just don't see a shred of justification for the idea.
Oh, there's all the justification, but I think that you are projecting. I think that you are the one that gets comfort from the idea of a God.
God is terrible.
I would love to believe in God. I would absolutely love to have this hope of an afterlife and so on. It's just a brute fact that there is no God.
It's a brute fact, meaning there's no justification for it. That's what a brute.
You cannot defend God in a non-fallacious way.
You can't defend God in a non-fallacious. So you're saying that my reasoning is fallacious somehow, or do you think that what I'm running into isn't God?
This is kind of the first time I'm like face to face with this kind of argument.
That's fair.
I would need to review it more and like go back and think a little bit more about it. But when it comes to more classical theists, I don't think that there is a non-fallacious way to do that. I'm pretty sure that there is some fallacy somewhere around there. You're probably either reifying or hijacking a concept, or there's something there. Not that you do it out of malice.
So I think this is an interesting point. How does someone defend God? Like, how do you state the reality of God? And I think that it is a very difficult space, because the way people view God is pretty much different based on each individual. Every person has their own kind of individual reality of what a divine being is. There isn't really one consistent position on that, just to be honest with that. Like, I would never go to debate, can you defend God? I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know how one does that. I'm like,
white American Protestants think God hates brown people, and progressive Catholics think God is okay with like gay people and trans people and stuff.
What do you think about Mom Donnie in New York? Are you excited?
Mom Donnie.
A lot of people joke and say
the debate last night was interesting. Here's Cuomo. Oh well, Mom Donnie's evil, Hamas, Islamist, and then Zohan's like, yeah, I just want New York to be affordable for the people that live there. And then Slee was over here. Yeah, I remember I was shot 5 times when the Mennonites came and they stole everyone's left shoe, and I did. It was fucking wild, man. But God, Cuomo is such a slimy little shitlid. He just is. And everybody's like, oh, but Mom Donnie is so.
Well, and I think
I'm like, that's based though.
I think the way he addressed Israel is very tactful as well. He handled it in a very tactful way, where he's like, look, I'm running for the mayor of New York. I'm not running for the mayor of Israel. Yep. So this is not my case. And he's like, and then he said, well, what about, you said that you would arrest Netanyahu. And he said, well, I believe in international law. And if it's in accordance with American law, then I'm going to follow those things. And I'm like, you can't, he didn't say anything that, no one really can say that he said anything that was insane. And they're like, what about Intifada? And I'm like, I think he would have an answer for that as well. But I think he just killed it on the stage last night. I don't think there was really.
Oh, Mamdani is so fucking rhetorically, like, he is.
That smile. He's got
what every fucking Democrat should be everywhere, all the time, and they'd never lose another election ever. I mean, we're getting a little off topic, but yeah.
I know, but
Isa, what I wanted to tell you is that you can keep. I mean, the reason why you have a hard time understanding this is that you're honest and you say, "I have faith that there is a God," and that's.
I got to get water, but I can still hear you guys.
But these people, they would absolutely contend that God is real, and that's why they try to defend God. And what I'm saying is that none of those people I have in 30 years of talking with religious people, no one could ever make a non-fallacious argument to actually demonstrate that God is real.
I don't think you can. And I'm like, this is just a strange thing. I'm like, if you want to believe God is real, that's cool. But I just don't think you can go and say, well, I can prove God is real. It was so funny to hear that. He's like, I can prove this. And I'm like, how? How do you prove that your religion is real? You can believe in it. You can say, hey, I think it's good. But to say, I know it's good, like it takes a level of arrogance and ego that I don't think I'm capable of myself. I don't have that arrogance and ego to do that. So I wouldn't come and tell you your position is false because I think, you have to believe in God. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to tell you, what God am I telling you to believe in? You know what I'm saying? Do I tell you to believe in Agun or Shango, from like Yerba tradition? Do I tell you to believe in Hashem, or do I tell you to believe in Thor or Odin? I'm like, which God am I going to promote to you?
Yeah. The funny thing is that later I was like, okay, let's say, because I got bored of the conversation and I wanted to take it to somewhere else, and he didn't want to talk about anything other than this bullshit. Yeah. And I was like, okay, let's say that I grant you your argument. That only gets you to a deistic God. How do you make it Christian? And it's like, yeah, because Jesus claimed to be God. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I tried to start analyzing the Bible, and he ran away from that so fast. He did not want to talk about the Bible, even though he was making the claim that, oh, yeah, Jesus claimed to be God. But there's a bunch of other people that claim to be God. So that's not... But when we started analyzing the Bible, he ran away so fast, he left his shadow behind. It's just something that people do when they make arguments.
So what's interesting about the way that I have these discussions is that I basically interview you about your own phenomenological experience. And you have revealed to me that you are in touch with a being which is colorless, tasteless, shapeless, no texture, timeless, and conscious. That's all I need for God. What is that being?
No. The last two, you have to remove them because I don't agree with that. This is where I start getting pissy. Because the guy keeps saying, yo, you agree it's timeless and spaceless. And no, I don't agree with that. Time and space are absolutely a thing. And you keep forgetting that. So here's where I start getting a little bit riled up. I calm down afterwards. But
I mean, I would too if somebody kept saying,
yeah,
you believe X. And it's like, I don't believe X. And this is like the fourth fucking time I've told you that I don't believe X. Stop saying that I do.
Yeah, I didn't want to come off as the angry atheist. I would try to keep my cool, but I was starting to get pissy. And if we had been in another place where he didn't have the capacity of just kicking me out, I would have destroyed him on that. I would have just gone like, you're being a dishonest piece of shit right now. Stop saying that I agree there's no space and time, because I don't. Being is contained within this husk that is me. That started when my father's sperm met my mother's egg, had a progression in time and space.
All of that is
contained within me. I don't accept the idea that my
right, but all of
is separate from my body.
All of those are ideologies, though. There are billions of those.
What
the fuck does that mean?
We were talking about
what the fuck does that mean? Yeah, some ideologies are correct and some are not.
Yeah, but I don't know what he meant by like that's an ideology. It's demonstrated like
phenomenological experience. You can abandon that and go into theorizing, but at that point, I have a counter theory. But I'm saying where you and I can meet, right? Because I mean, you can say, oh yes, all of this is produced by the brain, and yes, I have the hard problem and the interaction problem and all of these absurdities. You can say all of those things.
Well, the hard problem of consciousness is kind of absurd. Like, that's not a thing. The interaction problem for dualists, primarily substance dualists, is a thing, that they haven't overcome. And that's why they've reached a point where they're just like, whoa, the interaction problem. We're so over that. And it's like, no, you're just saying that because
what is the interaction problem?
How does something non-physical interact with the physical in ways that are causal, such that we can claim, such that there isn't some sort of causal overdetermination?
I don't understand what.
So causal, there's underdetermination and overdetermination, usually with concepts like evidence, or like you might apply it to causality. So to say that some non-physical mind is causally overdetermined is just to say that the physical facts exhaust causally, they sort of exhaust the causal space such that you don't need to appeal to any other things in order to causally explicate what is going on, what is happening. So in such an instance, we would say that the physical facts causally overdetermine substance dualism. Like substance dualism just has no causally explanatory import there. And then underdetermination would be something like, sure, we see this effect, it has a cause, but we don't have enough information to determine specifically what the cause is, then the effect is underdetermined, causally underdetermined. You can do the same thing with evidence. If you saw me walking down the street and you heard a metallic jingling sound in my pocket, that alone isn't enough to tell you that that's coins in my pocket, because there's a lot of other things that it could be that could just as easily be adduced as an explanation for that sound that aren't just coins. So hearing a metallic jingling sound in my pocket as I walk toward you or something like that it underdetermines coins as an explanation. Now, suppose that you saw me buy a soda from the soda machine and you saw me put $1 in and you saw me get the soda and then you heard the change dispense. You saw me grab the change out of the soda machine and you saw me put that change into the pocket that was making the jingling sound, where prior to me putting the coins in that pocket, there was no jingling sound. Now we would say that the evidence available over determines coins as an explanation for the jingling sound. All the data is enough to rule out other potential explanations that aren't coins. So that's sort of the difference between underdetermination and overdetermination with respect to things like cause and evidence.
Okay. All right.
They're not parsimonious. There's all kinds of burdens and absurdities that arise from them. But as long as we stay phenomenological, as long as we're talking about what we feel right now, which is what we were doing with that demonstration.
What do you guys think of the
whenever there is a very good song, I recommend everyone to listen, that is called The Funk Phenomena. And every time someone says phenomena, I just hear the chorus, the funk phenomena, the funk phenomena. Love it.
You've laid out to me a being that both of us believe in. I call it God. I'm wondering why you don't.
Because it's me. It's not God. It's me. And you keep separating. Because I can do,
right. Well, hang on. You're not colorless. You're not shapeless. You're not textureless. You're not timeless. This is the properties that you named. I wrote here, and you are not those things. So how are you saying I am the thing I described?
Did you remove the last two? Because I also said that. Go ahead.
I don't understand how this proves God. Like, this reminds me of these like hyper philosophical conversations like Jake and Bob. Yeah. What's his name? Billy Bob? I forgot what.
Made by Jim Bob.
Jim Bob, yeah, Jim Bob, and these kind of philosophers, these theists.
No.
Well, I mean, that's what they are. They're
audio warning. I'm going to yell. No, Jimbo, you can't count Jimbo there. Jimbo is retarded.
Well, I mean, but this is the line of argumentation that they use. They use this kind of like pseudo philosophical position, and it's
there you go. That's a better word.
But I mean, but it is like it's a line that uses this kind of rhetoric and stuff like that, and it's like when I listen to it, I'm like, I'm listening to you, but you're not proving God. Like, I don't think that you can prove God by this. So I'm like, there's still a million other explanations, that you can give. Using highfalutin language and sounding smart doesn't prove God is real. This is why I think it's a silly venture to go out and say, I'm going to prove God by using some logical frameworks, and then you have my friend Jake the Snake from Australia. He has a very kind of Australian accent. He goes and says, do you know about the law of excluding middle? The law of identity? You didn't know
Does he like debating the existence of God?
I think it's a part of the narrative, but when I listen to them, I'm just like, for real? This
because I see him debate like some politics stuff.
Yeah,
I don't really care about that.
That group of dummies, they don't do that because they know all they have.
Well, I mean, like Jim Bob does. I don't know if Andrew's debated specifically God's existence, but if Jake's down for it, I would love to debate him on that.
I think it's a part of the package. Like, if you go into it, it's a part. It's not the focus, but it's a part of the argumentation. It's a part of the package that's there. But when I was listening to him talk, I was like, I don't think this proves God. I mean, it's an interesting thought, but I don't think, because it really ultimately it's kind of the prime mover argument or the blind watchkeeper. Like, that's literally what the argument is. It's like, or the God of the gaps. Like, I don't understand these things, thus God did it. And I don't think that really is going to persuade anyone, really. No. You know what I mean? I mostly why people believe in God, it's mostly an emotional reason. It's not logical or rational. Like, let's be honest. Like, when you were a theist, Leo, were you tied logically to it, or you were tied emotionally to it?
I would say I was tied emotionally to it, but I do think that there was probably an evidential bent there.
You use logic to defend it, but I mean, most people's connection to religion and theism is emotional. It's not cultural. You understand. It could be cultural, emotional, but it's not based on this logical, rational reasoning. And you can't. And it's just funny when I hear people say you are defending it. Like, when I hear this, I'm like, this does not persuade me that God exists. I'm sorry. I listened to his argument. He's like, well, what did he say? It started with an A. Not attention. What was the word he used? He went on a lawn of country. Does this have color? Does this have? And I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? This doesn't prove that God's real. What was it like? I forgot what the word was. It was like
awareness.
Awareness. That's it. Thank you. I forgot what it was because I'm exhausted with all my things. He's like, awareness. Does it have color? Is it blue? Is it pink? I'm like, even if it is, that doesn't prove God. It could be. It could be fairies. It could be like the demiurge or the demigod from Star Trek V. See, this is the problem. The issue that he wants to assume is that God is real. Okay. Well, guess what? You could be an atheist and believe in supernatural forces. You could believe in Superman, right? You could believe in Marvel and DC and all of that stuff and mutants. You can believe in all that stuff and still be an atheist.
Believe in Harry Potter magic.
Yeah, you could believe in magic. You could say superhumans with magic did all of this. There's many other explanations besides the ultimate divine power. You assume that that's true. And I think atheists, you could have brought that up and say, yeah, I hear you. Why can't it be Harry Potter that did this? Why couldn't it be any of these other things? All these other, why didn't Rama do it? Why didn't Shiva do it? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't Vishnu do it? Why didn't, Hercules do it?
Bagagwa, the great thunder spirit.
Huh?
It was the one true God, Bagagwa, the great thunder spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you can use so many other things. You're assuming that this is true. I can grant you that some supernatural thing may have occurred, but it's not a god. It's some supernatural being. It's an alien that did this. Some supernatural being from another planet, from Mars or Venus. They came down and they created the pyramids and they did all of this stuff. You can make so many other arguments. And this is funny that, be creative. That's what, if I were in your shoes and if I was taking the atheist position, I'd be creative. I'm like, yeah, you're right, bro. You're correct. It can't be this naturalistic thing. It's a supernatural thing. What about aliens? The aliens did it. And he can't really respond to that because he's cashing all his poker chips on the one spot. Not the poker chips, that roulette table. He's putting all his chips on number, 69. He's putting all his chips on number 69.
It's a good number.
And he thinks he's going to win on that. And that's it. He's assuming that that's correct. And I'm like, there's a lot of other spaces on that roulette board that it can land on. So it's like, that's the problem. He's making an assumption. And it's like, it's circular reasoning. You're like, I believe that this is true, so I'm going to make all my logic lead to that one point. And I find that to be problematic. It's like, you're not being fair. You're assuming that your position of God is real and any other explanation is false. I've actually watched a lot of Christian movies, and they had this movie called Encounters about aliens. And the skeptics, believe, sort of like Fox Mulder from X-Files, where they were like, oh, aliens did this kind of stuff. And I mean, that's a valid explanation. You could say some extraterrestrial life that has better technology than us came here and did this. I mean, we don't have the evidence to prove it. I'm like, that's another explanation that could be even more plausible than an ultimate, being that's omnipresent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent. If I was a skeptic, I would take something like that. I think that's an answer that would be a valid position. So it's like so weird that you're like, I'm assuming that my position is true and all these other positions are not. And you have no evidence to prove any of those other positions are false. So if you want me to grant supernatural understandings, then let's grant all of them. That would be my retort.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that, but going back to what you were saying, like, yeah, this is not a convincing argument for God, and it's actually quite the opposite, because if you have to lie, and so far I've cleared up like twice already, and I do it more times, that I do not accept your idea that time and space do not exist. So if you have to lie about, number one, you don't give me an argument. You do this very scummy tactic of asking me leading questions to try and make your argument. That from the start, that is like, ew.
Can I say something about that really quickly?
Yeah.
So, as I'm sure both of you are aware, when somebody engages with me and they start off with questions, and I'm not saying like I'm infallible with being able to determine this, but I think I'm pretty good. If I feel that these are genuine, honest questions trying to gauge where I'm at so this person can figure out, okay, where's this person at? What do they know? What's sort of their perspective on this so that I can figure out how I want to engage with them in a way I think it's going to be productive in a discussion. I think that then I do a pretty good job of answering those questions. If I feel somebody's asking questions because they're trying to lead me somewhere, immediately, what's the first thing you'll hear out of my mouth?
No idea.
What do you mean by that?
I know what the answer is. You'll use Socratic reasoning. So you're gonna throw it right back at them.
No. What do you mean by that? I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Can you explain? And try to get them to, okay, if you're being genuine, you should be able to break open your ideas and explain them to me. But if you're not being genuine and you're trying to lead me, I think you'd struggle with that. And so oftentimes I am genuinely curious. I don't know what somebody means, or I'm not following or understanding what point they're trying to make. But sometimes maybe I still don't really know where they're trying to go, but I know they're trying to lead me somewhere. And I'm not going to let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes I will, because it's like, I know where you're leading me and I want you to lead me there because it's not going to go the way that you think. And so then I'll be like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's go there. All right. I'll hop aboard for the ride. Choo choo, motherfuckers.
I am here now. So that gives us time and space. And all of the other things that are colored, they are contained within this thing that is my brain.
I think
my experience is my brain is directly responsible for all of that has no color, no taste, no shape or texture.
I think that if we were to run through this again, no. I mean, look. I think you can run this back, on your own, or maybe watch this video again, because I know you've never interacted with this kind of discussion before. So I want to be fair to you. I think we would arrive at the same thing. It's we would arrive at the exact same descriptions. I think you were honest. You were, and so yeah.
No, I'm honest in the first part, but I'm also honest when I'm telling you that you cannot disconnect the first part of the list from the last 2 points. I think the last 2 points is where we really have the difference, is that I think that space and time are the more fundamental layer of reality. That the universe could not possibly function if space and time were not real. And that would actually preclude a God. Because space and time give you a distinction over you and me.
When I say the word universe, all I mean is space-time. So saying that the universe couldn't exist without space-time, to me, is trivially true. Yeah, space-time couldn't exist without space-time. That's fair. But I'm saying that space-time itself, right?
When I say the universe, I mean the conjunction of space-time, matter, and energy.
Right, but matter and energy, if energy is either kinetic or or potential, and that's going to require space.
Or thermal.
Or matter.
Yeah, and matter is just
energy condensed.
Yeah, just energy in a different form. So it's going to require space and time as well.
I suppose thermal energy would be kinetic energy, wouldn't it be? Because thermal energy would just be the amalgamation of the kinetic energy of the particles of the system. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, it's chemical energy. Chemical potential, like when combustion, for example. But fundamental layer of reality, what is it? It's space-time. If you want to keep going down to the quantum, but I don't understand enough about quantum to like.
No, and neither do I. I appreciate that, both of us.
Time, entropy, for example. What is second law of thermodynamics? Matter cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is that? If space-time is not real, why is it that matter and energy cannot be destroyed?
Why is it that matter and energy cannot be destroyed? I guess I'm not sure what you're getting at.
So we have this law that pretty much everyone agrees on, except, I don't know, flat earthers, who I talk a lot to flat earthers. So we have this idea that matter and energy cannot be destroyed.
Only transformed.
Only transformed. Right. That is.
If you imagine if you imagine a seed becoming a tree or becoming a plant, right? That seed is transforming into things which were already intrinsic or latent potential within the seed. So there is latent potential within the seed being expressed as the seed grows and expands into whatever you planted. Fair?
Yeah, that would be the idealist way of describing that. What I would describe it as is the seed sprouts, and then the roots take nutrients from the ground and they execute their genetic code. So you get from an acorn, you get an oak tree. And then we come down, we chop it down, burn it, that turns into ashes. If you press those ashes very hard and under intense heat, you can create a diamond. So that's how stuff moves around. But you have this idea that there is the seed is idealizing its potential, right? And that is, I'm not too familiar with that part of.
Got it. Yeah, it's more of a Hegelian notion that yes. that contradiction.
I don't deal. Philosophy is not my thing.
No. I totally understand, and I really appreciate you giving me your time and being as honest as
this guy really bringing up the Hegelian dialectic.
Yeah, no,
is that what he's doing?
He did, but I think it was more because I pressed him on this.
I would have heard that and been like, "Oh, I didn't know you were a Marxist."
I didn't think of that.
Me too, and. Whenever you sit down with this thing, because I would really like, if possible, for you to poke holes in this thing and say, okay, now that I've really sat down with this, now that I've kind of digested this, I think these are the areas where there are holes in your thinking. Because I believe.
I don't know if I'm the one to do that. You might need to talk to someone who's more well versed in philosophy. My criticism, because of the type of people that I meet more regularly, is textual criticism, and for example, when people try to go down the moral argument, I crush all of those people and that kind of stuff. It's very different to what I regularly have to deal with, but it has given me some stuff to think.
No, that's really good. I appreciate that. If there's at least something to think about, because I think with this demonstration, it can work with a 73-year-old woman or a 8-year-old child, right? All you're doing is asking them, what are you experiencing right now? And I've run this on my daughter, who's 4 years old, and she doesn't know God concepts or metaphysics or any of that. You know, I say, grab some object in your room, and she grabs Greenie. It's her little stuffed dinosaur. And I'm like, are you aware of Greenie? And she's like, what is aware of, you know, and all this. And I was like, is it like something to see it? Does it feel like something to hug Greenie? She's like, yeah, you know? And it's like, okay, so you're aware of Greenie. Do you know that you know? Right? Do you know that you know Greenie? Like, do you know that you're aware? And she can get there. It takes some time. It's like, yeah, I know that I'm aware. I'm sure of it, right? And so it's like, okay, so let's have a conversation then about awareness itself and about how awesome it is to be aware, right? Because you believe that awareness is something that exists. And she's like, yeah, awareness is something that is, and I can point that awareness at things. I can be aware of sounds. I can be aware of textures. I can be aware of, you know, objects in my visual field, right? And so I said, let me ask you some questions about awareness. Let's talk about awareness. Like, is awareness colorful? And it's like, he's like, oh, awareness is green, because she's pointing at Greenie, right? And I'm like, no, that's something you're aware of. So what you're aware of is green, but what color is awareness itself? Right? Like, well, it doesn't...
You're running me down the argument. Let me ask you this. If you run the argument with 1,000 people and you always end up in God, isn't that a completely useless distinction? If everyone is God, then God is nothing.
If God is everything, God is nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I already agree that God is no thing.
God is
that's not what you... That's not what you said. You didn't say if God is everything, God is nothing. You said if God is everyone, then God is nothing. What?
Right. Yeah, because if you do this with some people, you will get like, oh yeah, that's God. Like, oh, so everyone is God. Like, makes no sense
about that.
If we take the etymology of not being a
that
thing.
God is me.
No, I don't. Because it depends on what you mean. If you're talking about, because remember, when we went through the demonstration, you said that this being you're in touch with is colorless, shapeless, textureless. That's not who I'm looking at. I'm looking at Max.
Yeah, no, but I also made a distinction that awareness, which you're calling a being, I don't like the characterization of it being a being. And I also kind of limited it to my body. So it's not a being, like it's me having the process of that awareness, which is, yes, it's colorless, it's tasteless, and so on.
A being just means isness. It just means it exists.
Okay.
So for instance, this pen is a being.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is. It has beingness.
That pen is...
Entity is a better word to use. The pen is an entity,
right? An object or whatever. Like I have such a problem with the way he uses being. I actually point that out a little bit later. Not a being, because that kind of clashes with the other usage of being. So for clarity, I would say that pen is.
Okay, yeah. So being just refers to isness. So I can replace being with isness if that's more comfortable.
Yeah, that's the pen better for me. My brain.
Mm-hmm. You could say the pen has being. I think that's meaningful. I mean, I get what he's saying when he says the pen is a being, but I think the way that might be cashed out by some others would be something like the pen is an entity that has being. The pen is.
The pen is. Yeah, that's what I find.
The pen exists. Or you could just say pen.
Pen. Yeah.
They all express the same thing.
Phone.
That's fair. So there is an isness which has no color, and yet it is. It's tasteless, and yet it is. It has no shape, and yet it is.
There is no spoon.
No texture, and yet it is.
It is also contained within this husk right here, right now. And it is something that my brain is doing.
Those are theories. We're talking about phenomenology. We're talking about
I understand, but I don't know how you can justify that those are just theories when, for example, if I take anesthesia or if I get opiates, that process kind of stops for a little while. And also, if you sever the connection with the brain to the rest of my body, then that is also me no more.
General anesthesia makes you incoherent, not unconscious. It doesn't stop consciousness. Nothing stops consciousness that we're aware of.
It stops like direct perceptual awareness.
Yeah, and
it doesn't kill you. I mean, it doesn't shut your brain off. It doesn't do that, but you're not conscious, as in you're not immediately perceptively aware of what's going on around you.
Right. And then, as far as we know, when you die, you're no longer conscious. And before you were born, you weren't conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't agree with what he's saying. And this about like you're not having that perception anymore. So can you? What do you like? Do you think that death doesn't stop consciousness?
Of course not. No, I think consciousness is fundamental. I think that when you die,
did this guy mention Bernardo Castro?
I think that when you die.
Sorry.
No, I'm sort of talking to myself.
No, I think consciousness is fundamental. I think that when you die, I think that when you die, when your biology dies, the objective pole of experience melts away and you return to pure subjectivity.
For fuck's sake. So he's been saying there's no time and space, and now he said you'll return. That literally implies space or time, right?
I have no fucking clue what he just said. That means
absolutely
the what of experience melts away and you return to the purely what?
Yeah, like to pure consciousness. What the fuck does that even mean?
Hey friends, I have to go right now because I have to take some exams for bio. But it was a pleasure to be with you today.
The answer is C.
It is crazy,
except for number 14. That one's B.
Well, for these exams, they like, do you know those Proctor lockdown things? I have to do that type of thing where I have to shut everything down except the exam. So
you got
it. Yeah. So you can't cheat. Yeah.
Best of luck, Isa.
It does. I've been doing really well in the class, but this is like the anatomy portion, so I have to like talk about where all the bones are, and that's the thing. It's my lab portion. So
penis bones connected to the stomach bone. Stomach bones connected to the heart bone. Heart bones connected to the neck bone.
That sounds like Animaniacs. That's funny.
It does.
So wish me luck. I have 2 like quizzes that are locked down. Then I have a big exam. So I'm just gonna try to push right through. But
smash the fuck.
Let's go. Good luck, Isa. Everyone, give some good lucks to Isa.
W's in the chat for Isa. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Hype train.
I have some good news too. I actually won a scholarship today. My last semester of my program and this social work program that I'm doing, I won $10,000. So
I
said W's in the chat.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. So I just wanted to share the good news with all of you. Miss you tonight. I wish I could stay with you with Mr. Biscuit, but I gotta go. So.
Oh, Isa, let everyone know where you're going to be tomorrow.
Oh, I'm gonna be with David Wood. I'm gonna go stream with him tomorrow. So, my buddy Dr. Wood.
Who? Oh, David Wood. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talking about the Islamic dilemma. So when we have the link, we'll make a post. So if you want to check that out.
I think we're just going to be talking about Sneeko and stuff. I think we're talking about pop culture. He wants to do Islamic dilemma later, but it's just fine. But I'm interested. I don't know what Sneeko's up to now. I think he's still hanging out with Kanye West. I don't know. he was the representative. He was the ambassador of Kanye.
Who was it that Sneeko stepped in? He was either the ring or the octagon with?
It was a fighter. Yeah, I saw that.
Was that Sean Strickland? That wasn't Sean Strickland, was it?
It might be, yes.
Because, dude, why the fuck would you do that?
Because
you fucking idiot.
Because he thinks that he could take him on, and he got absolutely literally beat up.
Sean Strickland's a bad fucking dude. Like, I would not. You couldn't pay me enough money to step in the octagon with that guy.
Well, you know what I think it is that when you become like a big hot button celebrity, you start to think you're invincible.
Yeah.
Like, and I think you have all your fans, and you forget your limitations. You know, and it's weird. Like people are like, oh, you know.
I think this happens if you're immature psychologically, but I don't think it's like I don't think like Issa. If I'm going to be honest, if you were as big as Sneeko, I don't think you'd do something like that. I genuinely don't. I do not think that you would do something like that. I think you would be like, this guy is a literal professional UFC fighter, and I am a guy. I'm just a fucking guy. Like, what?
I would like, oh yeah, I'll watch you. You want to get me a free ticket? I'll come watch your thing and get some swag. But I would never be like, you know, I think I could actually fight these people. I'm like, you've been trying all the time. I'm not, and I'm actually not interested in fighting. Like, if I were to do fighting, I would be like an actor on screen and learn like the techniques to look cool on screen. But I would have no interest in fighting. I'm like, I don't want cauliflower ear. I already have enough gadgets. I'm really okay not fighting. I think it's very silly. But if that makes them happy, it doesn't make me happy. I'm trying to stay on my 2 feet, man.
Look who we have, the man, the legend, the Dr. J. Hello.
Hey guys. Hey, hello.
How goes it, Dr. J?
You're going to be replacing me, buddy, because I have to go off and do my bio exam. So,
all right.
Soon. Peace, friends.
Take care, Isa. Good luck.
Just be thankful it's not like a physics exam where you get 2 questions and it takes you an hour and 40 minutes to solve them.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Question 1A, and then there's 1B, and then there's 1C, and then there's 1D, and then it's
the last time I did physics was in high school, and I'm leaving it there. Like I'm taking a degree in science, like it's an allied health degree in community college, and I'm like finishing up my degree in science, and I'm done. I'm not going to go back to it. It was too much. I had to do nutrition and science and technology. I'm like,
I looked at the general relativity exam for, I think it was at Harvard. If I remember, it was either Harvard or Stanford. Guess how many questions were on this end of semester exam, this
5.
end of class exam? 4.
Oh, it's close.
4 questions, and you had roughly about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. 4.
Because it's that
4 fucking questions.
It's that hard.
Yeah, well, it's hard is sort of a subjective term. There's a lot there. You know, it's general relativity. It's meticulous. And usually on an exam like that, you're going to do a little bit of equation derivation so that you can show that you understand like what's going on, what this all means, and how it all gets put together. And that's like, even if you know what you're doing, it's going to take you a while to do it. You know, that's just the nature of like matrices and shit like that. But it just goes to show that, like, dude, some shit gets hard where they can only put just a few questions and it still takes you over an hour to finish the exam.
Exactly. And it's at Harvard. So, all right, friends.
Take care, Isa.
Peace.
Take it easy, Isa. It was good seeing you.
Right, let me do that. So we have Dr. J in place. All right, let's keep it going. Return implies space.
No.
Now we're starting to find the holes. Yes, you said return. Return implies movement.
If I say let's return to the beginning of this conversation, have we moved in space?
No, but we go back.
No, but I used the word return. So return doesn't have to return to space.
Return doesn't have to discussion. Is that what he said? Return to the beginning of the discussion or the start of the discussion? Both beginning and start are temporal terms. So we're still making reference to space-time?
Yeah. And the funny thing is that all action words imply time because they literally take time to execute. So this is where I start finding the holes in the argument. Is that you cannot express something with like words cannot express timelessness.
Refer to space.
How can you have pure consciousness if there is no brain? Because you haven't justified how you can any kind of consciousness can exist without a brain, and I think that's where the hole is.
Well, what I said is that space-time is not fundamental, meaning space and time are not fundamental now. They're illusions right now. And the brain that you're referring to needs all of these illusory secondary properties like space, time, color, texture, taste, and shape. So nothing which is fundamentally real, even right now, requires all of those secondary properties. So when you appeal to a brain, you're appealing to something we know isn't fundamental.
I mean, that's how you characterize it. I think you have it backwards. I think that the physical is the fundamental and everything else. Like, because if you tell me you return to being pure consciousness, okay, where were you before you were born? How does your consciousness travel from wherever you think it was, or however you want to describe that? How does that condense into your body? How does it download into your brain?
And this kind of highlights the severity of the of how entrenched you are in this ideology, because you keep saying, where were you, as if that question has to be answered.
Yeah, because there's a limit. There's a language limitation of speaking of something that I'm not like super intimately familiar.
No.
You did say return. No. You did say return. So if that thing returned, how did it get here in the first place?
Return doesn't imply space. Like I said, we can return to an earlier part in the concept.
It does. It implies both space and time. Sorry. I don't know how he doesn't understand that.
Conversation, and we have an implied space.
That would be a recalling. You wouldn't be returning.
Returning can be colloquially used. Like, let's return to this chapter in the book. It's not like a spatio-temporal returning. It's just returning to something which was...
Returning to a chapter in the book is spatio-temporal.
Why? How have you moved in space?
Because you're moving to a different point on a physical object.
I did the same thing, and I didn't remember that I did that in the video. So yeah, we're here, and we return to another chapter, space-time. Let's illustrated page. I move, time is passing by, I return, more time is passing by. I don't think you can divorce return. I can give you a chance to change that word. But
let's. You know what? If it's a sticking point, let's use the word remember.
Remember also implies time. That's a problem with every word that you can put there. Every action ever requires time, and that's one of the arguments that I would use to more normal Christians is like, okay, if you think that God is outside of space-time, how can God take any action? Because all actions happen in time, all of them.
I think you're taking time way too seriously.
Yes.
So
it's the measure of entropy. It's a pretty big deal.
Entropy is just what we fail to realize about a certain system. So when you say
that is wild. Dr. J, what are you've seen this debate before? What are some of your thoughts from a Christian perspective on this kind of argumentation, like a summary?
I just never had any super big interest in sort of like trying to prove this stuff in sort of a philosophical way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I just, like, we're going to go down some philosophical rabbit hole and we're going to come out with God in the end. I've just never been interested in that. And I personally don't even like philosophy that much.
Me too.
I feel like I'm probably going to like step on some philosophers' toes here, but just seems like people have been philosophizing a long time. But when it really comes down to it, the people that are like kind of more useful are the people that try stuff and figure out what works. Yeah. And so I just don't have a huge interest in philosophy, you know.
Mm-hmm. Me neither. It's boring.
And these philosophical sort of rabbit holes that these guys go down, especially like I don't know if this guy considers himself a precept or whatever, but I didn't experience that. Like, we didn't talk that way in school and stuff. That was not how we would talk about it. It would be more the, evidentiary route, which I can understand why people don't mind convincing, but sort of the, we're going to use philosophy to do it. I just don't have a ton of interest in, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. That's kind of the same reaction that I get initially. We can have the conversation, but it turns out being super bizarre.
Time, no. You realize that time essentially stops at like a black hole, at things moving at light speed. That time dilates with large celestial bodies. Like, why do you take time so seriously?
Because
you just listed all the fucking reasons that physicists take time to be physical, because it's causative. It causally interacts with things. Mass causally interacts with space-time. That's what curves space-time.
Yeah. But I don't know why he doesn't understand that.
To our human existence, to our human illusion, like we have this adaptive feature that, but the thing is, we've seen time do really weird, warped things. Like, why do you take it to be fundamental when it's not
because
even? Wait. It's not even. It's not even dependable. So why do you assume it's fundamental?
Oh,
it's
it
not
is
even
dependable to the point that we can measure it.
Right,
we
but
have measured time dilation in between two samples separated 1 millimeter.
If you're sitting at a bus stop and I jog past you, we're experiencing time differently, and neither of us are right. Time dilates with moving objects. Like, time is not even dependable.
Very fast.
And high energy physicists and fundamental physics.
Of course, time is dependable. Humans don't exist at relativistic speeds. Of course, time is dependable.
Yeah.
That's why we have clocks. That's why we rely on clocks.
And even if you take humans out of the equation, time still happens in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Physicists are saying it's not even fundamental. We have structures like the amplituhedron and the cosmological polytope, out of which the illusion of time emerges. Like Chetan Prakash, a mathematical physicist, has he uses the word proof, that like he has proven with evolutionary game theory that time is something we are making up. I mean, so I don't know if you want to do
well, do you know about that? Because I had
no idea. I just know that he hasn't proven that because he hasn't disproven general relativity.
Fair. That's a great way to put that.
Quotes like these are always super tough, right? Anytime someone that points, pulls out a random quote from a philosopher or physicist that you've never heard of, you're like, if I brought that philosopher or physicist here, would they agree with you or not? Because if not, this might be some quote mining, right? It's just, I just don't know a ton about this stuff, but I would be nervous, or I wouldn't find this convincing if someone uses this as an argument.
It's what happens.
And there are physicists that think time or space-time is fundamental, and then there are some that don't.
And of course, there are certain people that are hoping that when there's a unified theory that time makes a comeback, but it's like, it's not controversial to say time is something which is, if it's real, it's extremely not dependable and fuzzy, and it's almost definitely not fundamental.
Well, it's relative,
and
it could be fundamental. We're not sure about that.
Yeah, the thing is that here he's latching on to a misinterpretation of a lecture, because just like you pointed out, Leo, he watched the lecture and he stops at, oh, there is no time and space. But the next sentence after that is, time and space is an emergent property. Like wetness is an emergent property in water, because oxygen and hydrogen, they don't have the property of wetness in themselves in their natural state, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, why would it not be dependable when every function pretty much of
It's not
every function, every action, everything that happens is ordered in time.
It's not dependable because your biology is always in sync with local time. If you were if you were standing on Jupiter and I was on
our
the Earth,
everyday lives
is
thoroughly embedded within quote unquote local time. No fucking buddy cares what's happening 38,000 light years away on the other side of the galaxy because it doesn't fucking matter. So
significantly slower for you, and you would be right. Like so we would have a 10-minute conversation. You would say that the conversation was 7 minutes. I would argue that it's 10 minutes, and we would both be right. So how is time? How is time this fundamental thing to you when it's not even dependable?
But it is dependable.
Yeah, dependable is not.
It is dependable on like a local scale.
It's dependable.
But like orbits require time. Everything that we see in the universe takes time. And I think that divorcing and kind of like appealing to high-level physics, there might be a disconnect there. And I don't want to act like it's not that you're probably you're doing it out of malice. It's probably something else.
Synoptic in the chat just said, time might be confusing, but it doesn't mean we should dismiss it out of hand. I completely agree. Time should be taken extremely seriously. My problem is with taking it literally, right? So, like I said again, in the words of like Donald Hoffman and Chetan Prakash, these guys say you should take time and space very seriously because time and space are adaptively, pragmatic for human beings. These are tools that are important for us to use rightly in order to feed, fight, flee, reproduce. Like those biological chores necessitate those things, but don't take them literally in assuming that they're fundamental aspects of reality.
I would have to see a citation for that.
Aspects of reality, if not fundamental.
Repeat that, sorry.
Aspects of reality, even if not fundamental.
Right. Yeah. But he's very fixated on the fundamental, and even though he called himself a mystic, like if you say this is just a precept argument, like, oh, God is the reason why there's intelligibility in the universe, there's no way to demonstrate that. It's just a presupposition. And yet he's accusing me of, oh, those are just theories and so on. And there was a lot of projection on this. Said it, and people in the chat, what are you doing? Send some super chats. Hello.
Right.
Like what?
If you're enjoying this conversation, drop some super chats.
Yes.
And hang on, I have to actually go to my to see whether
I got off of work to be here with you, hanging out. At least send some dollar bills, yo.
Dollar. With your accent, hearing you say that is great.
You don't really hear that. You're probably more used to Mexican accent speaking English, right? I'm from Uruguay. I'm like from way down in South America, so we sound a little bit different. Even when I speak Spanish, I sound very different. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Where are you? Deep in the you said you're probably in California from the time zone, right? Or in the Pacific Coast?
I'm in Washington. Yep.
Washington. That's awesome.
Yes, indeed. So, I mean, are there any other? I mean, I wish. I guess with this conversation, we wouldn't have been able to clarify things.
No, not really. I it's a little bit outside my wheelhouse. What I can tell you, I hope you don't take it the wrong way, is that it's the least convincing argument I have ever seen for God. Like very quite literally. Well, it hinges on a bunch of, very, and please don't take it the wrong way, like philosophical, mixing philosophical mumbo jumbo and also I feel like hijacking a little bit of scientific research.
No, look, I can't possibly take it the wrong way because I didn't make an argument. You did. All I did was interview you, and you.
That is so dishonest. That is super dishonest. Yeah, I hated that.
That seems a little sneaky Stevens.
I didn't like that at all.
You told me about a being which was colorless, tasteless, shapeless. You removed timeless and conscious. I don't know how you could say that your experience, that your awareness isn't conscious. Awareness just is a synonym for consciousness. But look, I mean, I didn't give you an argument, so I don't blame you for saying that my lack of an argument is less convincing than the arguments that you've heard. You've told me these things. This list is for you.
Yes, but I also
and you're the one that's misinterpreted it.
Yeah, and you led me down like on a court case. The objection would be leading the witness. You're conveniently forgetting that I think that those things are inextricably tied to me right here, right now, contained within inside my brain, and that is the collection of that is the thing that it's max.
But there's no justification for that. That's just an assertion.
No.
What do you mean? No, I am perfectly justified in saying that all of those things are contained within me.
That consciousness is contained within your brain. Is that it?
Well, yeah, that is something my brain is doing.
Okay, so give me a justification for that. Because right now, like the hard problem of consciousness, posited by David Chalmers, is like the #1 problem in cognitive science. So if you can solve it, there's a Nobel Prize waiting.
It's not at all a problem in cognitive science, not even remotely.
Do you want to explain what the hard problem of consciousness is? Because I need to go to the toilet.
How do you bridge the gap between physical facts and mental states? Because it seems that mental states and physical facts aren't the same thing. And the argument is usually given that, well, the physical facts could all be exactly the same, but the mental state could be different. So clearly, the physical facts and mental states are not the same thing. There's seemingly no relation between them.
What do you mean?
Which
You're
to me,
saying that the claim is like the chemicals in the brain, everything about two brains could be exactly the same, yet the conscious state would be different.
Yeah. Like this subjective experience could be different. Like, how do you get from just mere physical facts to subjective experience?
Do we know that those two people would be having different experiences? How would you even test that?
I have no idea. Okay. I think the hard problem of consciousness is just kind of silly, if I'm being honest.
I mean, is it really that controversial to just say, well, I think that, all of it's physical and there is no, basically if there were no brains, there would be no consciousness.
I agree. I don't think that there's any meaningful distinction between like the physical facts of the brain and mental states.
Yeah, I realize that can be hard, why people don't enjoy thinking of it that way or whatever. It's not very fun or something, but I don't know why it would be particularly a controversial stance. As a matter of fact, if you just didn't have a God thing going in there, it seems like that would sort of be the default stance, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know atheists that are not physicalists, but
really,
it's it's not really that hard to find atheists who aren't physicalists.
What does that mean? Like, how can you be an atheist and not physicalist? What do you?
Because one does not entail the other. All atheism says is that you don't believe that any gods exist. It says nothing about what you think consciousness is. Atheism has nothing to do with what you think consciousness is.
Right. Okay. So
Michael Huemer's an atheist, and he's a dualist. He's not a physicalist.
So he thinks that there's a separation between mind and body?
Of some sort, yeah, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Does he explain why he thinks that's the case?
Yeah, I haven't read the work, but
okay, right.
Yeah, he's written stuff on that.
All right.
For you. So, I mean, give me a justification.
But I think that building your argument, kind of knowing that into account, specifically making that, and then taking the God exit strategy. I told you before when
I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean by the God exit?
Yeah, when you touch on solipsism, I've encountered that before. People that go for solipsism and they think that they can say, yeah, but God gets me out of this. It doesn't.
I never said that. What I said is I feel that I'm a skeptic. You feel that you're a skeptic. And so I said, okay, well, let's see who's more skeptical. And I said, number one, I believe that I am conscious. And you said you agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's step one, consciousness, right? Then I said, okay, let's go to
Problem
step two.
is,
Let's see
so
who's
Max,
the most skeptic.
would Max and this guy actually agree with what conscious, the definition of conscious? Because if conscious as a dualist wouldn't be the same as consciousness as a physicalist, right? That wouldn't, the word wouldn't mean the same, would it?
No.
I think it just depends on what's being referred to by the term consciousness. And then like, because there isn't like just physicalism. There's reductive physicalism, non-reductive physicalism, and then there's various forms of non-reductive physicalism. I'm specifically a functionalist and an emergentist. I take that consciousness emerges out of the functions and processes of the central nervous system as the human body metabolizes. There's other views within the broad realm of physicalism. So it really just depends on what's being referred to by consciousness there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would kind of hold the same thing. Like I'm conscious right now. If you drive a spike into my brain, I won't be conscious anymore, and that's the end of me.
Step two, I believe that not only am I conscious, but you are conscious, right? Even though there's no defeater for solipsism, you and I both agree that it's reasonable to assume that other people.
What do you mean?
That there isn't a defeater for solipsism? That's not true.
What would that be?
That there's absolutely no good reason to suppose that the only argument for solipsism is that, well, you can't prove it's not true. So
right.
That changes nothing about the probability of its truth. And if we utilize various forms of inductive reasoning, which we can do, solipsism just immediately seems to be false.
Right. Fair.
The fact that I can't deductively prove it false means nothing.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
People are conscious besides ourselves. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still there. Then step three, this is where someone like me gets off the boat, right? Remember, skepticism wants to posit as little truth claims as possible. You've agreed with me so far, but I imagine that you would take it a step further and say there are beings or isnesses that exist outside of consciousness.
Yeah, there are entities that are mind independent, like electrons, like planets, like stars, like galaxies.
Yeah.
Like the oceans, like the tectonic plates that have their own history, completely independent of humans.
Yeah.
You believe that beings or entities, which you might call matter, I don't know what you would call it, vibrations, amplitude, frequencies, whatever kind of quantities you think fluctuate to create consciousness. You believe that exists.
Like an entity, like I don't think. I mean, sure, under like some deeper analysis, you might arrive at something along those lines, but I don't think that's how most people would understand, like what an object or an entity is. In fact, I think I might go so far as to say that electrons and quarks and other elementary particles are not objects, at least not in the everyday sense of an object.
Right. Yeah, we don't really have access on our day-to-day to them as objects. It requires a bunch of stuff like a particle accelerator.
I mean, even if you shrunk yourself, and this is getting really fucking contrived because this is somewhat hard to conceptualize to begin with, but even if you could sort of shrink yourself down to the size of an electron, there wouldn't be something there that you could touch and that you would see, like the slider. Like it wouldn't be this little ball that's like glowing or something. Like that's not these properties don't apply. Things like electromagnetic radiation, sight, light, heat, shape, size, mass, these emerge as concepts, emerge out of the subatomic realm of reality. I don't know what it means to then take them and try to apply them back to the subatomic realm. It's like asking what justifies the laws of logic. Well, you need a logical schema in place to define what you mean by justification to begin with. So it's just not clear what it would mean to take the concept that depends on a logical schema and apply it back to that logical schema. It's just poor reasoning.
Yeah. Oh, I get that.
Regardless of consciousness, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
yeah, because I mean,
there
are things that have no consciousness.
There are things which, I think that everything is fundamentally consciousness, and that you and I.
No, how can you say that of a rock?
A rock is not conscious, but it's fundamentally made of consciousness. For instance, your thought. if you think.
How does consciousness constitute physical objects? That's all. Like, how can you break? Give me this analysis. What's the physics here?
I have no idea, but he doesn't touch that, and I had to bite myself not to laugh at that claim, because that was wild.
I'm hungry. That thought isn't hungry. But that thought is made out of consciousness. That thought could not exist without consciousness.
That thought is made of electrical impulses of me not having of a sequence of events.
But that's a guess.
And if we're talking about something like hunger, the electrical impulses are largely going to be related to the central nervous system's connection to the digestive system and a variety of regulatory processes that are also contained in the brain and that result in the sensory input of a variety of other parts of the human body that play a role in defining what hunger is and indicating to the brain that there is hunger to drive the agent to seek out nourishment. Like, this is all like, what the fuck is what?
Yes, that's exactly where I am right now. Like, what is happening? And it gets wilder from here. It keeps on going down this route.
Does it get? You talking gets wilder like Gene? We'll see who gets that joke.
It gets wilder.
I know Dr. J got that joke.
I didn't.
Gene Wilder. He was the guy who played Willy Wonka in the original Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory back in the 70s.
Oh,
if you've seen that,
yeah.
With the hair. Yeah. Gene Wilder. He's great. I believe he's no longer with us, but great, fucking phenomenal actor.
No, it's not a guess. No, it's not a guess.
No.
Brute fact.
Okay, no. You're right about this. As far as like things like hunger, we have like strict correlates for that. So we're not talking about awareness of. So I have to give you some on this one. Like, I think you were right. Things like hunger, things like color, and things like that. Those are correlates of mind. So I can agree with you there. But you think beings exist outside of consciousness, and then number 4. You believe that whatever those little beings are, that there's no shred of evidence for, even in principle, you think that creates consciousness as a byproduct. And I'm saying I don't believe in step 3 or step 4. And that's true skepticism. You agree with my 2 steps.
Why did you say beings exist?
Yeah, and I call them, I say being, and I think you said you didn't want to use that. You want to use like business.
It's very hard. If you say beings exist, it's like, what are you talking about?
What would you say about the things which exist outside of consciousness? Because you believe in some stuff, right? Rocks.
His definition of consciousness. Is he just saying that there's a God and God's consciousness is everything?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, I think so. Something along those lines.
Why doesn't he just say that at the beginning? Like, I think everything that exists is just the consciousness of God, and therefore nothing can exist without consciousness, and therefore that's what I think how it works. I would just save me a lot of effort to figure out what he's trying to say.
Like, well, but see, that's the thing. If he just came out and said that, it would sound way more ridiculous than walking through this jibble jabble of like quantum physics and space-time isn't real and all of this other stuff. That's why these people do this. Like, if they just said what they believed, it would be the most ridiculous thing ever, and they would get laughed out of every room they walk into. But if we walk through the woo factory on our journey and we pick up all this jargon, makes it a little bit more palatable for the average person.
say that a rock is fundamentally consciousness.
No, don't worry about me. I'm saying I think that what you're doing, is a far cry from skepticism. I think you're making giant leaps of faith. Because I believe that
that's cute.
No.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's cute.
No, I don't mean faith as a derogatory, and I guess I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said faith because I'm a man of faith. But so I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I myself am a man of faith. But I think that I'm approaching skepticism like I have a very high bar for what I consider to be the truth. I think that consciousness is clearly here.
I wonder what that bar is.
I believe that you are
I have no idea. I have no idea. Because he said that skepticism is about making the least truth claims possible. I even disagreed with that. I didn't want to just go into that. But I even disagreed with that. I think that skepticism is more about not making claims that you cannot demonstrate.
Yeah, proportioning one's belief to the evidence.
Yeah.
Not asserting things that don't have some sort of like argumentation or evidence to indicate their truth, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I think skepticism is a practice more than it is like a strict ideology.
Yeah.
Conscious, and I think that there's reasons to believe that. But then number 3, you want to say that outside of my field of experience, there is something, and that thing would have to be tasteless, colorless, textureless, because all of those are mind dependent. Texture is something that requires my mind in order to feel smoothness, in order to see color.
No, it doesn't, because that thing will be smooth regardless if you touch it or not. And he doesn't get that. He doesn't get that. Those things are mind independent. No,
right?
No.
So you're saying colors are mind independent now?
Yeah. But I started saying that.
I thought you meant you said that
even if you're not there to experience the redness of the rose gets sunlight on it and still shines red. The same that I told you with sound.
No.
If a tree falls in the middle of the forest, even though no one is there, the sound, the process goes on. Like the way
the pressure waves are still
there. The ground shakes the air, the waves go by, and you might call sound a thing, but I call sound. I didn't pick up on this, but someone pointed out in the comments when I posted the video that he's confusing sound with hearing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing, so I am perfectly justified in my position.
In
the colloquial sense, when the tree falls in the middle of the forest, the sound still gets made.
When light hits a rose, the rose absorbs all colors from the light spectrum and rejects red. You see red because red is rejected, not because it's absorbed. And yet you're willing to...
That's what we call color. A difference without a distinction. Yeah, that's what we call color. That's like the rose is red. That there's no... Like, this doesn't get you out of the fact that
the light still gets absorbed. All the same things happen, right? Whether it reflects to an eye or not.
Been painting my roses red.
Yeah.
What's that? Do you have on your hand, Dr. J?
What's that?
What's that? That red thing?
This is a straw.
I thought it was like candy.
No, I'm chewing a straw. Slim Chickens and took the straw out and started chewing on it.
Slim Chickens, that little Kentucky Fried Chicken there, brother.
Do you have pica?
Pica?
Yeah, it's an illness of people that it compels people to chew on stuff, like weird stuff.
Oh, I guess if weird stuff is straws, maybe so. I don't know.
No, it's a joke. No, never mind.
Hang on.
It doesn't matter.
It matters. It deeply matters. The reason it matters is because you're saying that even if minds, the very minds which take in with our retina the color that the rose rejects, if that mind were absent, the rose would somehow be
the
giving
process
off
is
red?
still the same. Yeah, the process is still the same.
But we're not talking about the process. We're talking about the phenomenon.
I'm still listening, but I'm going to run to the bathroom quick and then grab something to eat real quick.
You can't have the phenomena without the process. If you don't take away the rose, take away the light, take away the observer, the only thing that you can really take away is the observer. If you take away the rose, then you won't see anything. If you take away the light, it will be in darkness. You won't see anything. So as long as you have the light and the rose, and it's the same rose, it's what we call a red rose, which might not be. The minutia of all of that is unimportant to me. If you have the light, whether it is the sun, a flashlight, or in the, like, for example, if you point a red rose with a green light, weird stuff happens but we know how that works. What I'm trying to point out is when you get visible light into a rose, whether I'm there to observe it or not, or whether we define it as what the rose color actually is or isn't, whether it's red or whatever, that process still happens if no minds are there. Because there were roses or there were plants with colors before there were beings to observe them.
Got it. So you understand, I hope, that consciousness is the prerequisite for building a case, exploring anything, seeking evidence. If you say that something exists outside of experience, then there is no justification for that, even in principle, because experience is the prerequisite for evidence, for discovery.
For us, but you could wipe every human from the planet and the rose would still be red.
Yeah, but you'll never know that. It's just
we remove those humans from the planet.
Yeah,
but the true fact that the rose illuminated by the sun is gives the same result.
But you keep saying brute fact, and as a skeptic, I have to reject brute facts. That doesn't appeal. Brute facts don't work. Brute facts do not work for skeptics. You can't just say you can't just say it is the way it is. The skeptic is going to complain and say, "I need a justification."
That is not always correct. For example, do you need a justification of why a circle is 360 degrees?
No, because it's a tautology.
Okay.
It's a tautology. You're saying the same. You're saying the same thing. That's why a
circle is composed of 360 degrees. It's not a tautology. It's something that we agree on. It's an axiom, not a tautology.
Yeah. So the reason I don't need a justification.
That's what the circle is.
I know. That's why I'm saying it doesn't require a justification. A triangle is three-sided. You haven't said anything unique. You've just described a triangle by describing a triangle.
That's what but that is what a triangle is. 3 sides, 3 angles. The internal angles add up to 180 degrees. That's what a triangle is. Do you need any justification more than that? No, those are kind of axioms. But I still hold, and I don't think you can demonstrate otherwise, that watching, like, if we set this up like this, right? Whether I am there to watch it or not, this will still happen. If I put it on like a pedestal and I leave it like that, this will still happen and the effect will be the same whether I'm there to look at it or not. Do you disagree with that?
Do I think that there's a controller in your office when you leave your office? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and the fact that the light is hitting it and it's bouncing back kind of very bright so that it overexposes the camera.
No, I don't believe in any of that.
Do you?
I think that.
Sorry, because I just got the image of a meme I saw recently of an elephant hiding behind a very thin pole, like object permanence. What do you mean it doesn't? Like, if I do this, and I leave it like that forever, it will always be the same result until, well, let's say I have infinite battery.
Right, but what about the result that appears when a human eye is present? What if a cat eye were present? Would it be subtly different?
Yeah, because there are physical differences into how we perceive things.
Exactly. So the question isn't whether or not what you set up would continue to be what you set up. The question is your foregrounding and backgrounding mechanism, namely your ability to foreground a controller and background that which isn't a controller, also your ability to resolve at a particular resolution, right? I think you would agree, at a higher resolution, there's just bouncing atoms. There isn't a controller. Fair? At a particular resolution, you could enhance the resolution to where there's just subatomic particles and waves in flux, right?
Sure.
So the problem with what you're doing is you're prioritizing a very human-centric resolution, even in your absence. And I think that that's bizarre that you would take that route and say that the human-centric resolution on the universe would maintain even in the absence of the very minds that construct that resolution.
Right, but you think that it's a complete construction of our consciousness. I say no. I say that we have evolved and adapted to experience this part of the range of the sound range, of the physical, of the light range, and other animals adapt to other stuff. It doesn't mean that that's all there is, because, for example, we cannot really see in heat signatures, but other animals do. It doesn't mean that those heat signatures don't exist, even when we're not experiencing them, because I can buy a thermal camera and I can see those heat signatures like a snake.
Right. And so I think that the main differences between you and I, the main two differences that I see, is that you believe that consciousness is emergent from brains, even though you have no idea how. You just believe that that's the case.
I don't need to.
You believe it's a brute fact or something.
Yeah, because I know that if I take an axe to the neck, that consciousness just stops.
Right, and that's just another declarative statement with no justification, right?
Well, I mean, I would test it out, but I really don't want to turn
I don't blame you.
I would be willing, but the problem is that this is all there is. So, I'll test it out at the end of my life, and I'll be right.
At least you hope so.
No, I mean, I know that there's nothing else. And I love that there's nothing else, because it makes me actually appreciate when you've been an atheist with me for so long, you don't have a big crisis like, oh, damn, I'm sorry, I almost cursed like really hard. I'm trying to control myself.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Max.
No, I'm trying to curse. We've been having a nice chat, so I'm trying not to. I'm sanitizing my language a bit, right? I forgot my train of thought. I forget about this, but I'll let you know, because he interrupted me so much that I completely forgot the point. He has a problem with this because in general, people who believe their purpose is to worship God, whatever. And they think that if you remove that, they have a crisis on purpose. When you've been an atheist your whole life, like me, or for long enough, you understand that you make your own purpose, and you don't have that crisis because you are little and you understand. You start forming this idea that, okay, this is all there is. We have to make the best of it. And you don't have that crisis, like if you deconvert and you remove what they think as their purpose, you remove it all at once. It trickles down, and you start little by little understanding and getting to grips with your own mortality and the fact that this is all there is. And I couldn't get that because he interrupted me so much that I completely forgot that thought. Oh, Earth is Life is here. Hey, buddy.
I was gonna say we can turn to the chat here. I think people are asking some interesting questions. Stephen Lamar says, I don't understand an argument that questions if things existed outside of our perception. Like, did the planets of the solar system not exist until we discovered them? So I think that's a criticism of me. He's saying he's saying, what are you saying, that the planets just popped into existence when we discovered them? And this is the way that I'll answer. When we say the word planet, we're talking about something like that word is rooted in a like conceptual scheme. It's a concept, right? So when we say planet, we mean a certain set of things that present themselves to us. So what I'm saying is, in the absence of the human mind, what is truly out there, right? Unless you're a naive realist, right? Naive realism, the reason it's called naive realism is because there's no philosopher who's ever really taken it seriously. It's like the belief that there's a one-to-one correspondence.
Naive realism.
Why is it called? Another thing that I don't know. This is all like very fringe philosophies that I have no idea what they're about.
Where are we at?
Can you tell me what naive realism is?
It's the idea that our perception of the world is objective and unfiltered.
Objective and unfiltered.
Yeah, like we are perceiving reality the way that reality is.
Okay.
Which
But
probably but you say that if the dog perceives it differently than the human, who's right? And so the naive realist said, well, the human way's right. Is that right, Leo? Like, I don't know if dogs really perceive it differently, but if they did, the human perception of it would be the correct one. Is that right?
Well, I don't know if there were differences across perception, which I think there probably are. I don't think it makes sense to talk about one's being right or wrong.
Right. Especially when I would probably consider it just a different evolutionary path.
Correspondence between what we see and reality, right? So unless you're a naive realist, which I'm not, right? You're going to say, of course, that the objects and the colors and the shapes which are presented to our very recent and very fragile minds don't represent what is really out there. If we had a one-to-one correspondence with the reality, we would be paralyzed by the complexity of it, right? Like our knowledge.
But my question
is
there anything out there? The fact that we can't perfectly perceive it, or we once we perceive it a certain way, and even if every person perceives it a different way, he seems to be acting like then nothing is there. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you want to argue that we can't perceive it accurately, or we can't define it perfectly or something, well, whatever. But it seems like he wants to go to, well, there can't be anything, then there's nothing there.
Well, I think he's coming more from a perspective of whatever really is, we can only have indirect access to through perception and through the sort of mental models that our brain develops. We can't know what is in any other way. So there's always going to be some sort of distinction between what really is out there and the ways through which we perceive and understand it.
That may be true, but there's still something out there. Or is he saying there is nothing out there?
No, I think he would say that there still is something out there.
So you don't, but I think he's not saying that, because I think he wants to say you have to have conscience for them to be consciousness, for something to be out there at all. Which is, I would disagree with.
If that's the case, then I don't know why he would have brought up the noumena phenomena distinction.
Because he was grasping at whatever straws he could when he couldn't convince me of his argument. But I'm more aligned. I understood more what Dr. J was saying, because in just a little bit, we do a little demonstration where I told him, close your eyes. And I turned around and I have a little brush that I use like a sweeper for my computer, and I turned around and I dropped it, and it's like, okay, we're both not looking, and I dropped it, and it's like, oh, look, the brush was up here and now it's below there. We didn't see it happen, but it still happened. And that kind of like that crashed him out just a little bit.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you're ignoring background noises. If you're seeing a colorful flower, you're ignoring, right? It's like our knowledge depends on ignorance, right? So of course we don't correspond to reality in like a one-to-one way. Of course not.
Well, I think we do. Probably, at least.
I remember what I was going to say, and now I forgot again. Damn me. I'm sorry.
No.
I'll remember again.
It's my fault, Max, because I tend to deviate. I go a little bit long sometimes. Okay.
No, this one, yes, it was completely your fault because I had a point. You didn't let me make it, and then you continue with your thing. So yes, it is 100% your fault. And it's all on me. Don't worry about it.
No, I really am enjoying the conversation though, because I mean, I think that there should be, maybe a knockdown way of like showing me where there's a gaping hole in my reasoning here. But I think that the majority of the atheists that I talk to, when they say they don't believe in God, the entity that they're claiming not to believe in is the entity with all the omnis. Yeah.
Because those get you into some very deep problems.
Such as what?
The problem of evil,
problem
the problem of unnecessary suffering.
There's arguments from failure that can be adduced. I mean, there's lots of there's issues.
Yeah, there's issues. There's tons of issues.
I mean, I think it's clear that classical theism is straightforwardly false.
Dr. J would disagree with us, but I agree with you, Leo. It gets into some problems, and I know they have arguments and so on, but they're
I mean, they're not very good, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Like the problem of evil, what Justin from the Construction Zone calls it, like the omni carousel or the omni merry-go-round. That every time you try to justify one of those, you break one of the other ones. And I would tend to agree with that. For example, in nature. If you want, I'll give you one example. Urethral parasites.
Urethra parasites. Expound on that. Is this the problem of evil?
Dick bugs.
Sort of, but more in the naturalistic way. Like, what kind of omnibenevolent God creates a parasite that swims up your urethra?
That's awful.
Yes.
that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's either God has like a very sick sense of humor, or he's actually like quite cruel.
That's
one. There's another parasite that literally eats the liquid inside your eye and leaves you blind, and especially attacks children.
I mean, what about the fact that we die at all? I mean, we die in all kind of mysterious ways. Some ways that we die are painless. Some are painful. Some take very little time. The majority of deaths take a longer time, I think. But I don't think that God created us intentionally. I don't believe God is an agent.
Well, then why call it God?
How
what
can
the fuck
it
are
not
we
be
talking
an agent?
about?
Right? It's starting to get like, okay, God is not an agent, then how did he create?
But you need a God because you need consciousness, because without consciousness, nothing exists. I'm telling you, I don't think he thinks anything exists without consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's the road he's going down. Maybe.
Well, he said consciousness is fundamental.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have consciousness, or nothing else exists. Therefore, you have to have God. Otherwise, you can't have anything.
But now he said God is not an agent, but then he will refer back to the Bible, and the Bible says God said, "Let there be light." So that is an agent kind of a thing. It wasn't an accident that God said that. It was voluntary. So at this point, like, who knows what he's thinking right now? If you kind of cited the omnis.
Yeah. So do you mean specifically omnibenevolence?
Yeah, I mean, we can go through all of them, but yeah, omnibenevolence would be...
Sure. So I believe that love, for instance, is the felt recognition of our shared being. And the reason I believe in that definition is because good behaviors are associative behaviors which treat you as an extension of me. So if you're hungry and I love you, I'm going to treat you as an extension of me. I'm going to treat your hunger as if it's my hunger, and I'm going to share. Compassion is treating your suffering as an extension of my own suffering. So those kind of associative behavior.
I would call that empathy, not love. But yeah, I get that point that, yeah, we feel empathy for other people, so we don't want that. We know we suffer, so we don't want other people suffering. I have no idea how this connects to God in any kind of way.
Behaviors, right, are what we call good or loving behaviors. So love then on a human level, on a phenomenal level, would be the felt recognition of our shared being. But on a noumenal level, meaning love from the God perspective, would be the complete dissolution of dissociation. And what that means is God sees no difference between you and himself. Right? Just like you saw no difference when you did, just like you saw no difference when you did the phenomenological undressing. Like once we're talking about awareness simpliciter, right? We're not talking.
I got to go drop my nephew off at my uncle's house. I don't know if you two want to keep going or if you want to pause this and pick it up at a later date. It's really
no.
Whatever,
we can do a part 2. Let's
let's do a part 2. Now's a fine time for me to stop as well.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do final thoughts for today. Let's start with Dr. J.
Not my area of expertise necessarily. I was trying to follow the argument. I was a little annoyed he doesn't just lay out his argument. I kind of agree with Leo on the mumbo jumbo around to getting to the argument. I wish he could just explain it in like 3 sentences. That would have just saved me a lot of painful effort. That would have been great.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. J. Leo, final thoughts, and we'll arrange for a part 2 sometime.
Like I said, I've talked to Mr. Biscuit before. I mean, he's a nice guy. I don't think he's like a bad person or anything like that. But pardon me. No. I mean, it's just there's a lot. There's a lot of baggage with what he's saying. A lot of nuance to some things that really needs to be unpacked to really get at the core of what he's saying. And as Dr. J alluded to already, he's not really just sort of stating what like here, this is the claim that I am defending. These are the reasons why I accept the claim. It's sort of, I almost want to say it's like obfuscating, but I don't think if he's doing it at all, he's not doing it intentionally. I genuinely don't think he's trying to be intentionally obfuscatory. But I feel like there could be a bit of obfuscation in what he's saying. But yeah, he needs, as you alluded to, he needs Max. He needs to speak to somebody who like a philosopher that deals, like talking to a modern metaphysician would probably be an interesting discussion, like a Joe Schmidt type. This guy needs to talk to Joe Schmidt. That would actually probably be a really fucking interesting discussion.
Yeah, I don't attribute malice to him, but man, it just seems.
No, I can see how it's frustrating, you know.
Yeah. And then the parts that are a little bit dishonest about, like, conveniently forgetting every time he restated my position, conveniently forgetting that I rejected the no space, no time thing. And a couple of those, like, that is weird. But, I mean, it hasn't been the worst conversation I've ever had. It's just that it was bizarre that we took down that route. I tried to take it to what I know more, and he wasn't having any of that. He was like, and he contradicted himself when I tried to go down the textual criticism route, because he said Jesus is God, said he's God in the Bible, but then he didn't want to analyze the Bible to, like, solidify the validity of it. And I was like, well, weird. But yeah, we'll arrange for part 2 tomorrow. Leo, we have an after show, so if you are free, you're more than welcome. Thank you so much for all of this, Leo. I knew that you would have some better insights on this. People in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to do the social things, like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your tweet, and just subscribe to Yerba Mate Talks and Leophilius. And that way we can share the love for the channel. Thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Have a great night and a good weekend. Woohoo!